Buckingham Palace is in absolute lockdown. The Golden Gates are bolted shut, the senior staff are whispering in darkened corridors, and King Charles III is reportedly shaking with a rage that hasn't been seen inside the monarchy in decades. The cause of this unprecedented chaos? It's not Prince Harry. It's not Meghan Markle. It is the one woman who is supposed to be the ultimate loyalist, the silent enforcer, the Iron Lady of the Windsor family. Princess Anne has just dropped a massive, earth-shattering bomb on King Charles, and it is tearing the royal family apart at the very seams. For years, we have been told that Princess Anne is the staunchest defender of the crown. She is the hardest-working royal, the woman who never complains, never explains, and unquestioningly follows the orders of the reigning monarch. But behind the scenes, a terrifying rift has been brewing, and now that rift has exploded into a full-blown royal civil war. What Princess Anne has just done is not just an act of defiance. It is a calculated, ruthless move that threatens to strip King Charles of his remaining power, expose the palace's darkest secrets, and permanently alter the line of succession. The royal family is panicking, and they are desperately trying to keep this scandal hidden from the public. But the truth is out. To understand the sheer magnitude of the bomb Anne just dropped, you have to understand the fragile, crumbling state of the monarchy right now. King Charles is a man under siege. He is battling a severe, life-altering cancer diagnosis. He is exhausted, weakened, and struggling to maintain the illusion of control. The Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, has vanished from public view amidst a terrifying medical crisis of her own, leaving the future of the monarchy hanging by a thread. Prince William is buckling under the crushing weight of trying to hold the institution together while his wife is sick and his father is incapacitated. The institution is vulnerable. It is bleeding. And into this vacuum of power, Princess Anne has stepped in, armed with a devastating ultimatum. The palace wants you to believe that the royal family is united, standing shoulder to shoulder in their time of crisis, but that is a massive, calculated lie. The reality is that Princess Anne has reached her breaking point. She has watched her brother, King Charles, make a series of catastrophic decisions that she believes are destroying their mother's legacy, and she is not going to stand by and watch it happen anymore. The origins of this explosive conflict trace back to the final days of Queen Elizabeth II. For decades, Anne was her mother's most trusted confidant. She was the one who understood the mechanics of the monarchy better than anyone. When the Queen passed away, Anne expected a smooth transition. She expected Charles to honor the traditions, the protocols, and the strict hierarchy that kept the crown alive for 1,000 years. Instead, what did Charles do? He began obsessing over his legacy. He streamlined the monarchy, pushing out senior working royals and leaving the institution dangerously thin. He allowed the feud with Harry and Meghan to spiral out of control, turning the British monarchy into a global laughingstock. And most importantly, he began catering to the whims of Queen Camilla, elevating her family, granting them unprecedented access to royal resources, and consolidating power in a way that Anne found deeply, fundamentally dangerous. But the final straw, the catalyst that forced Anne to drop the bomb, was Charles's secret handling of the royal fortune and the line of succession. Recent leaks have revealed that King Charles has been operating in the shadows, making secret deals, altering wills, and distributing billions of dollars in private wealth with ruthless precision. He has been playing a dangerous game of favoritism, rewarding those who obey him and brutally punishing those who step out of line. And Princess Anne, the woman who has dedicated her entire life to the crown, was quietly sidelined. Anne was not just angry, she was strategically preparing for war. In a move that has left palace aides absolutely terrified, Princess Anne recently convened a secret, highly classified meeting at Balmoral Castle. This was not a standard royal gathering. There were no press releases, no official photographers, and no leak to the media. It was a closed-door summit, attended by a select group of senior royals, trusted legal advisors, and key figures from the Privy Council. And at the center of this meeting, sitting across from her ailing brother, Princess Anne delivered a document that has been described by insiders as a nuclear detonation. This document was not a polite request. It was a formal legal challenge to King Charles's authority. It was a direct, unflinching ultimatum that laid bare the deep, irreparable fractures within the House of Windsor. The bomb that Anne dropped consists of 3 devastating demands, each one designed to strip Charles of his unchecked power and force a radical restructuring of the monarchy. and if Charles refuses to comply, Anne has threatened to do the unthinkable. She will walk away, taking her immense popularity, her unimpeachable work ethic, and the silent backing of the British public with her. The first demand in Anne's ultimatum is a direct attack on Charles's secret financial dealings. She has demanded a complete, independent audit of the Duchy of Lancaster, the Crown's private estate, and all offshore accounts linked to the royal family. Anne knows that Charles has been secretly shifting billions of dollars into private trusts, many of which benefit Camilla and her family. She believes this is a betrayal of the Crown's duty to the British people. By demanding an independent audit, Anne is threatening to expose the financial black box that has protected the royal family for centuries. If Charles refuses, Anne has the legal standing to challenge the distribution of the Queen's private estate in court. This is a terrifying prospect for the king. A public legal battle over royal wealth would obliterate what little trust the public has left in the monarchy. The headlines would be catastrophic. Princess sues king over hidden billions. It would be the end of the royal fairy tale. And Anne knows it. She is holding a financial gun to her brother's head, and she is not bluffing. The second demand is even more explosive. Princess Anne has formally requested the immediate activation of a Regency Council. Under the Regency Acts, if the monarch is incapacitated, a regent can be appointed to carry out royal duties. Charles, battling cancer and clearly struggling to maintain his public schedule, fits this criteria. But Anne is not suggesting that Prince William take over as regent. She is demanding that she, Princess Anne, be appointed as Counselor of State with full executive power, effectively sidelining Charles and taking control of the day-to-day running of the monarchy. This is a staggering act of ambition and defiance. Anne is telling her brother to his face that he is no longer fit to rule. She is saying that his judgment is clouded, his health is failing, and his decisions are putting the crown at risk. By positioning herself as the necessary stabilizing force, she is challenging the authority of the king in a way that no royal has dared to do in modern history. And the genius of her move is that she has the backing of the public. The British people love Princess Anne. They respect her. They see her as the last bastion of old-school royal duty. If she steps up and says, "I am taking control to save the monarchy," the public will likely support her. But the third demand in Anne's shell document is the one that has King Charles absolutely terrified. It is the demand that cuts to the very heart of the royal family's darkest secrets. Princess Anne has demanded that Queen Camilla be stripped of her control over the private royal household and her influence over the king's schedule. This is the real war. Anne and Camilla have despised each other for decades. Anne has never forgiven Camilla for the humiliation she brought upon the family during the Charles and Diana years, and she has watched with growing horror as Camilla consolidated power, turning herself from a controversial mistress into a queen with immense political and financial influence. Anne's document allegedly contains a dossier of evidence detailing Camilla's interference in royal affairs. It outlines how Camilla has manipulated Charles into cutting off Prince Harry, elevating her own children to positions of power, and diverting royal funds to her personal projects. Anne is essentially accusing the queen consort of hijacking the monarchy for her own personal gain. By demanding Camilla's removal from the inner circle of power, Anne is forcing Charles to make an impossible choice: his wife or his sister, his personal desires or the survival of the crown. When Charles read the document, the reaction was instantaneous and volcanic. The king was described as being incandescent with rage. He views Anne's move as the ultimate betrayal. He is the monarch. He is the chosen one. He waited 70 years for this throne, and he will not be dictated to by his younger sister. Charles immediately summoned his most loyal aides, including his private secretary and his communications team. He gave them a simple, chilling order: shut Anne down. But the palace machine is realizing that this is not a fire they can easily put out. Princess Anne is not Prince Harry. She is not a spoiled prince who can be banished to California and dismissed as a rogue element. She is a senior working royal with deep, entrenched support inside the royal households. She has the loyalty of the staff, the respect of the armed forces, and the admiration of the British public. If Charles tries to punish Anne, he risks triggering a mass exodus of support from within the institution. The staff are terrified of being caught in the crossfire. They know that Anne runs a tight, disciplined ship, while Charles's household is chaotic, paranoid, and deeply dysfunctional. The tension inside the palace walls right now is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Every interaction is scrutinized, every look is analyzed. The royal family is split into warring factions, and the battle lines are drawn in blood. And Prince William? He is caught in the most agonizing position of all. On one hand, William shares many of Anne's concerns. He is deeply worried about his father's health and his stepmother's growing influence. He knows that the monarchy needs a steady hand right now, and he knows that Anne is right about the financial irregularities. On the other hand, William is terrified of a public civil war. He is already dealing with the nightmare of Kate's health crisis. The last thing he needs is a public power struggle between his father and his aunt. He is desperately trying to play the peacemaker, shuttling between the two camps, begging them to keep the dispute behind closed doors. But Anne has drawn a line in the sand. She is not interested in peace. She is interested in survival. To understand why Anne is willing to risk everything, you have to look at the history of her relationship with Charles. They are not just siblings, they are opposites. Charles has always been the sensitive, emotionally needy, privileged heir. He grew up knowing he would be king, and it warped his sense of reality. He has always been obsessed with his own legacy, his own importance, and his own desires. Anne, on the other hand, is the pragmatist. She is the stoic. She was Neves, or going to be the monarch, so she dedicated her life to serving the institution in the only way she could, by working relentlessly. She carried out thousands of engagements, sat on hundreds of boards, and never once complained about her place in the shadow of the crown. She was the one who held the family together during the disasters of the 1990s. When Charles's marriage to Diana collapsed, Anne was the one who maintained public appearances and shielded the Queen from the fallout. When Prince Andrew was exposed in the Epstein scandal, Anne was the one who quietly stepped up her duties to cover the gap. She has been the silent, uncomplaining engine of the monarchy for 50 years, and she has watched her brother squander the respect and stability that she and her mother built. The final insult came with Charles's secret will. As we revealed, Charles has been quietly hoarding billions and distributing them to his chosen few. Anne was rewarded for her loyalty with a $50 million trust fund and the executorship of the duty clause. But Anne didn't want a payoff. She wanted influence. She wanted a seat at the table. She wanted to ensure that the institution she sacrificed her life for would survive. Instead, Charles tried to buy her off. He treated her like a hired hand, handing her a check and expecting her to go back to cutting ribbons and waving at crowds. It was a miscalculation of epic proportions. Princess Anne is not for sale. She is a warrior, and she has just drawn her sword. The palace PR machine is working overtime to suppress this story. They are planting puff pieces in the British media about Charles and Anne's close bond. They are releasing old footage of the two of them laughing together at royal events. They are desperately trying to maintain the illusion that the family is united. But the truth is leaking out. Royal correspondents are starting to hint at tensions behind the scenes. Social media is buzzing with rumors of a massive falling out at Balmoral. The British public, already reeling from the Kate Middleton crisis, is beginning to sense that something is deeply, fundamentally wrong with the royal family. The reality is that the monarchy is in a state of freefall. The king is sick, the Princess of Wales is missing, the Spare is in exile, and now the Princess Royal is in open rebellion. This is not just a family argument. This is a constitutional crisis. If Anne follows through on her threat to challenge the royal finances in court, the entire concept of royal sovereignty will be called into question. The British public will be forced to confront the reality that the royal family is not a benevolent institution, but a massive, untaxed corporation that operates above the law. And if Anne demands a regency, it will trigger a political firestorm in Parliament. The Prime Minister would be forced to take sides, the British government would be paralyzed, and the debate over the future of the monarchy would dominate the national conversation. The Republican movement in the UK is already gaining momentum. They are watching this internal chaos with glee, waiting for the moment the royal family destroys itself, and Anne's bomb is the match that could light the powder keg. King Charles is trapped. If he acquiesces to Anne's demands, he admits weakness. He effectively surrenders his authority, proving that he is no longer fit to rule. Camilla would be furious, and his reign would be remembered as a failure. But if he fights Anne, he risks a catastrophic public war that could bring down the monarchy. He knows that Anne is a formidable opponent. She is smart, she is ruthless, and she has nothing to lose. She has already lived her life in the shadow of the crown. She does not care about titles or popularity. She cares about duty. And in her mind, her duty now is to stop her brother from destroying the institution. The next few weeks will be the most ancient rows in the history of the modern monarchy. Behind the closed doors of Buckingham Palace and Sandringham, a battle for the soul of the crown is being waged. It is a battle of ambition versus duty, of love versus legacy, of a dying king clinging to power versus a relentless princess demanding accountability. The public sees the waving and the smiling. They see the polished uniforms and the glittering tiaras. But behind the facade, the House of Windsor is tearing itself apart. The secrets are too heavy, the lies are too deep, and the egos are too fragile. Princess Anne has drawn a line in the sand. She has told the king, in no uncertain terms, that the game is over. The era of unchecked power and secret deals is finished. The monarchy will either adapt, reform, and survive, or it will go down in flames, and she is the one holding the match. This is the royal crisis that the palace never saw coming. They spent years worrying about Harry and Meghan, obsessing over the Sussexes' every move, while ignoring the quiet, simmering resentment of the woman standing right next to them. They underestimated the Princess Royal, and now they are paying the price. The bomb has been dropped. The fallout is just beginning, and the world is about to find out exactly how deep the royal rot goes. What do you think Princess Anne should do? Do you think she is right to challenge King Charles and demand a regency, or is she tearing apart the monarchy for her own ambition? Comment below with your thoughts. If you think Princess Anne is the true savior of the royal family, hit that subscribe button right now. We are uncovering the secrets the palace desperately wants hidden, and you need to be here when the next bombshell drops. Share this video with everyone you know. The world needs to know what is really happening behind the walls of Buckingham Palace. The royal fairy tale is over, and the reality is far more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. Stay vigilant. Stay informed. The truth is coming, and when it hits, the monarchy will never be the same. The walls are closing in on King Charles, the secrets are spilling out, and Princess Anne is standing in the center of the storm, refusing to back down. The question is no longer if the monarchy will change, but whether it will survive at all. The palace is in chaos, the king is cornered, and the Princess Royal is holding all the cards. This is just the beginning of the royal reckoning. Are you watching closely? Because the next move in this royal chess game will determine the fate of the British crown forever. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and get ready. The truth is about to be unleashed.